Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today at the Devoteam G-Cloud Day on the session on self-service analytics with Looker. So we already got introduced by Charlotte. Thank you. Bojan will start with a bit of an introduction to what Looker is. Then we will have Bertrand who will present a customer case on which we have been working for the past year. And then I will go a bit more into detail into the architecture and implementation of the solution we developed.
Thanks, Sven. Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Bojan Pavlović, and I work as a data analytics customer engineer at Google Cloud. I'm here today to give you a brief introduction to the Looker. So today I'll explain you what Looker basically is and what is so special about Looker and why you may want to reach out to the Devoteam and us. Let's take a look a few years back in the history. If we see what happened in the data field, we can see that especially in the database field, a lot of things changed. Technology developed so fast. So nowadays we have the databases that are quite fast, that are cheaper than earlier, and that are in the cloud. And this actually unlocked many opportunities and unlocked room for many new concepts into data analytics. On the other side, if we take a look on the BI tools, we cannot say that this space developed with the same speed as the database technologies in the previous years. Due to that fact, nowadays we actually see in the BI market two groups of tools. We see the tools that are built for SQL-savvy people, like you need very technical people to build dashboards and to give them to the business users to use. In this kind of scenarios, usually we as engineers become a bottleneck in the organization because everybody needs more dashboards. And there is a second type of the solutions that provides self-service, basically. And this kind of tools also come with its own challenges, like are all of my data available for self-service? How do I implement proper governance and control to the level I want, and so on and so on. So basically, and what organizations want? Organizations basically want ability to see 360 around all of their data, with self-service, with proper governance, with standardization, and with the scalability. And basically, idea of Looker is to bring the best from these two separate worlds. So Looker actually is a cloud-native enterprise-grade business intelligence platform by Google Cloud that enables you actually to securely access real-time data when you need it and where you need it. And basically, Looker can help to overcome these two issues. Technical department is a bottleneck, and what we saw on the previous slide as a chaos, organizational potential chaos. Let's go a bit deeper to see actually how Looker works. So let's start from the foundational layer, from the databases. When we take a look into any company, let's say a data strategy, we can recognize that one of the main pillars usually is actually to break the silos and to get data to the centralized place. Usually to operationalize this, we use cloud databases such as BigQuery or some other database. And basically, directly on the top of your database, Looker comes as a semantic modeling layer that actually is giving the business logic to your data. What is what is the feature of the Looker is actually that it talks directly to the database. So whenever you execute the query, it actually goes directly to the database. It does not do any copying the data, caching the data, making the cubes, and so on. So it fully utilizes all the features of the modern databases. So it's as fast as your database. In addition, also important thing is actually Looker is a single source of truth because you once defined your model and actually all the components become reusable components across of your organization. Next important thing is that Looker actually built all the good practices from the software development to the data analytics. So Looker comes with a support for the versioning control, with support to rollback versions. It enables you to do code review, to work in the development mode, and then to push code to the stage and to production, and so on and so on. And this is one of the things that Looker brings to the data analytics. In addition to that, Looker is API first and actually fully API covered, meaning everything you can do in the Looker you can do through the APIs as well. Feature-wise, there are 4 items that are actually important that Looker brings. First of all is dashboarding. This is something that we usually expect from the BI tool. So in the Looker dashboardings, what you see is near actually real-time data directly read from your database. So it's closest to the real-time possible, and you can drill down to the raw data. We do not work with it does not pre-aggregate data and so on. So everything you can see there is fresh, and you can drill down always to the very raw data. This is about dashboarding. Another more important feature is actually self-service. So it's ability actually that non-technical people can go to the Looker and make different hypotheses, ask different questions, and actually get those questions answered without knowing anything about structure of your database and so on and so on. Of course, as long as those data answers to their question exist in the databases and is modeled in the Looker. Step forward is actually data-driven workflows. What we in the Looker, actually dashboard is just the beginning. Not purpose of the tool. It's just the beginning of the journey. You see the data you need and you do something with them. For example, if marketing department, in traditional approach, marketing department wants to execute some campaign, they would typically go to the data team, ask for the list of the people, and then get, after a few days, that list, import it somehow into CRM, execute campaign, and this is usually too late. What Looker allows is actually to ask all those questions directly as a marketing person, get those answers, and then from there make connection to your CRM tool, for example, Salesforce, and execute campaign directly. And this takes minutes instead of usually weeks. So, and this is what we actually call data-driven operations. And also, last thing is actually ability to create custom applications, and this opens actually unlimited world. And if you need some inspiration on this, find me and we can talk, because some really cool things can be made thanks to this feature. LookML is language we are using actually to create models. I'll not go deep now because colleagues will talk about the project in more details. I'll just conclude here that actually Looker really simplifies business intelligence and data-driven operations, and how this works in the real projects, colleagues will explain.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me? So, I'm going to present a solution that we've built with Devoteam at Reprise called Rapid, which is a performance analytic platforms on demand. So quick word on Reprise. So we are a performance marketing agency, 3,000 people more or less. We're part of the IPG group, which is a close partner of Google. So before I explain what performance marketing is and what kind of data we use, quick word on the geography. We are present in 22 countries, 22 markets. The global headquarters is in New York, and we serve clients from the multinational, like Amazon, like you see there, Lego, to more local clients. So performance marketing, what it is. So in a nutshell, a client will come to us and they say, okay, we want to run 2 campaigns, one about awareness about that product and one about conversion. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna activate different channels. So for example, search engine, Google search, website for display on banners, so on and so forth, and social media. So typically Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. So why is it called performance? Because from those channels we can get a lot of data about the performance. We know really in real time what's happening through the APIs. in terms of impressions, so in terms of clicks, in terms of revenue, in terms of interaction from the user with those campaigns. So we want to use that data, so our data analytic departments, or craft as we call it, they want to use that data to create insight that to the customer, but also internally to make better decisions and actions. So very quickly here, how do you do that? So we start from the architecture. We want to have a platform that is solid, that is easy to manage, so that we can get better insight from the data. So that's why we're using Looker. And then we're gonna also do a lot of machine learning to further do decision making and action. I'm not gonna touch about the machine learning today, more about the first two parts, which is about Rapid. So we've been investing the last year with the Devoteam to build it. So it started partly as well from an investigation that Google did 2 years ago at Reprise about what would be the biggest time sink for the repriser. And we've seen that some people, they spend 75% of their time, so the client manager, they can spend 75% of their time just about reporting. So Analytic 101, how to get the data, create report. Why? Because we are global, we scatter in so many markets. We've seen that the process is not well defined. Different teams will use different ways to access the data, will use different reporting formats, from Excel to Tableau to Data Studio. The platform, well, the same, it was scattered. There was not a unified technology that people could rely on, so it was very hard to scale horizontally. And the infrastructure, we have internally at IPG some centralized warehouse, but we've seen that very often this is a bottleneck because we are dependent on their roadmap, and it takes time to onboard clients, to put a new clients on those platforms. So this is where we started a year ago with Sven's team, Rapid, and that was data mesh at the beginning, but we changed the code name. So very high level, the requirement here is we have a lot of data sources and we have the end user. The end user is not a technical person, it's someone who will manage social channels, will manage paid search channels, and we want them to easily access that data, but without to have to care about the different APIs. So there is this middle layer there that renders that data accessible, easy to look at and easy to analyze. So here, this is why we chose Looker, because as we've just explained, this is a very easy to use and interface for non-technical people. And Sven is going to talk about the implementation of the rest. One of the other requirements, we don't want yet another centralized data center. So basically, we really followed this kind of newish new technology, new approach, which is the data mesh. So basically, what I've shown before, every market will own its own node. So all the technology there will be replicated for the different markets so that they can do whatever they want there. So we still have local market leads that are quite technical that can onboard the clients, but from their own, they own the LookML code, they own the GCP, and they own the Adverity, as we'll see, and they can do whatever they want. We're still developing a library that's to make things unified, but from the onboarding after, they do whatever they want. And still, one of the big requirements, the users, the big requirement, what is in log? So first, as we've said, now we have a consistent and automated reporting. So everybody's using the same reports with the same technology. So it's easy to scale, easy to replicate. Those tools are very efficient. So now we're building our pacing, so very specific things in marketing. Those functionalities they implemented off top of Looker, not yet another interface for the user. It's all integrated in Looker. Something I haven't touched about, it allows us as a global team to have a unified source of data. We don't have to ask all the 22 markets for their data that we're going to give in Excel and so on and so forth, or we can implement machine learning from a single source in a single data schema. And as we've seen, Looker allows for the end user to quickly answer questions that would take days of weeks if you go through the analytic team. And most importantly for us, it has to be easy. So when the client enters, this shouldn't take 2 weeks to say, okay, this is Dyson is coming to Reprise. Shouldn't take 2 weeks to onboard Dyson on the platform. So really the process that Sven is going to present is really about this fast process. So we have 1 hour that our team is going to onboard a market, and then we're going to teach the market lead to how to onboard a client, and from there on, they will do it themselves. And this process takes between 45 minutes, 1 hour and a half, depending on the amount of data they want to pull. Before, it would take 2 weeks, if there is room on the roadmap. So really here what we do is empowering the end user by owning their own node, and every market will own their own technology with us as a support there, and developing further the LookML capacity and so on. So I'm gonna give the floor to Sven, who's gonna explain us how they built that cool platform.
Yes. Thank you very much, Bertrand. So I will now go a bit deeper into the technical details. Purpose is not to show you how you can create nice visualizations in Looker, etc. It's more to really illustrate the flexibility of the platform, the fact that you can use code and really leverage that. So this is a bit of a simplified architecture of one of those single customer nodes that we talked about. We have on the left side, we have all the different marketing platforms. They have APIs available to extract the data. To extract the data, we're using a third-party tool. It's called Adverity, because they have connectors available so that we don't need to spend time on writing ingestion pipelines, etc. And then we dump all that data into Google Cloud BigQuery. It's a data warehouse solution. It's a database that then scales to petabytes of data and has amazing performance. And then, of course, we use Looker to really bring the data to the fingertips of those analytical analysts. Not only with dashboards, but also with so-called Looker Explorers, which is a drag-and-drop interface, and they can just answer analytical questions themselves without the need of a technical person. But we're facing some challenges. First of all, that Reprise is a global organization spread across different markets. We also, there is a requirement, for example, for a US customer to have the data sitting in a data center nearby. Same with all the other countries. So we need to distribute and also secure the data. We want things to be highly consistent and reusable, because that was really one of the biggest pain points. If, for example, a US customer has developed a certain machine learning model, then it could not be reused in any of the other customers because they were not using the same data model. So we want to make sure that every customer has a very, is using a consistent data model, etc., and things can be reusable. But still, every customer has their own needs. They have different definitions of certain measures. They want to use different colors or logos in the platform. So everything still needs to be customizable to fit their needs. And of course, rolling this out, automating it, versioning it, rolling out updates, etc., are some of the challenges we faced. So how we organize this is, like Bertrand already mentioned, using this data mesh architecture, where you have market nodes, and inside you have customer nodes. And inside such a customer node, we basically have a replication of this basic pipeline that you can see right here. And then the entire goal is also that this Google BigQuery dataset of this customer, for example, is completely isolated from another customer. They cannot even know, for example, let's say I have Coca-Cola and I have Pepsi as two customers of Reprise. Not sure if that's the case. But they cannot know that they exist. So if they log into Looker, they should only see their environment, and etc. So as Bojan also already mentioned, the way Looker works, it has a direct connection with the database. So in Looker, whenever you're viewing dashboards or exploring, it's sending SQLs to your database and you're getting it back. But it needs to know how to construct that SQL, right? So if you have all the different tables of all the different sources, you basically need to model that into LookML files, and you define the table structures, measures on top of it, dimensions, etc. And not only that, you also need to define all the different relationships. And we have single channel dashboards, etc. We also want to know, okay, how is my campaign going over the multiple channels? So all those different relationships etc., need to be defined and can be defined in code in LookML files. And the thing is that here you have all the sensitive data of your customer in your database, but this is simply code. It's metadata. So there's nothing sensitive here. So what we can do is we can actually extract that into what we call our hub. And in the hub, we define everything that is standardized across all the different nodes. And then in the Looker project specific to that customer, you can basically import your hub and start tweaking everything. You can build on top of it, but you can also make changes. So those are really software development practices, like refinements, extensions, that you can use on your dashboards, etc. Because also your dashboards, for example, are defined in code in Looker, which makes it very, very flexible. But then the question is, okay, how do we automate this entire thing? Are we able to have an onboarding process of a customer that only takes 30 minutes instead of 2 weeks? So for that, we use Terraform. So Terraform is a infrastructure as code solution to be able to define your resources in code, and then it creates them and it provisions them, etc. The good thing is for BigQuery, Google has an amazing Terraform provider that you can use. But for the other tools, there are some available for Looker, but the quality was not really great. And for Adverity, there was no provider at all. So we first had to start creating our own Terraform provider in Go to be able to basically wrap the APIs of those tools to be able to provision everything automatically. And then we are leveraging Terraform Cloud to be able to manage all those resources. For example, there is one Terraform state in which one of the global admins can create a new market. And then for each market, again, isolated from the other markets, there is a state to create new customers. And then each customer itself has also their own state. And then this is where the local analytical leads are managing the different customers, configuring where the data of that customer needs to be stored, which pipelines they want to launch, but also anything else that they might want to do. They have a clean Terraform state. They're just using our models. But if they want to do something custom and go wild in Google Cloud or any other platform, they have the flexibility to do that. So that's a bit of a wrap of our session. I think we still have some time for questions.